In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about another Bears victory. We'll also be talking about the Blackhawks and off-season baseball. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. This season starts really darn soon, so make sure you head on over to icehawks.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how are you on this wonderful Sunday afternoon?
I
Evening?
am doing just fine. The weather is good. Caleb Williams slung the rock. It was a good weekend. I also, yesterday, was in Wrigleyville and I checked out what they have at Gallagher Way and I couldn't help but laugh because they have like a little fall thing going on. It's like, okay, families can go hang out on that grassy area they have there. The Cubs store is open. All the bars and restaurants are obviously open. A lot of people were there watching college football and the baseball playoffs. People were just hanging out by Gallagher Way. And then there was a free pumpkin painting area. And all I could think of was Tom Ricketson selling pumpkins at Gallagher Way.
We need to get a bat on this team. Buy some tchotchkes and some pumpkins.
And I saw the word free. And for some reason, I just have this really funny image of Tom Ricketts just zooming out from the gate and be like, no, 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 that's the wrong sign. $5 per pumpkin.
Oh,
So
God. Old
that was
Tommy.
funny. But it was a beautiful, beautiful day. You know what else was interesting too was, it was Saturday and the season ended like a week before, 6 days before, and they still have all the names of the teams that played in game 162 on the scoreboard. I just thought that was interesting. It's like, oh, they kept those there still. I thought they would have taken them down by now, but I guess not.
Oh. I am just ready to jump into Chicago Bear football talk.
As am I. As am I.
So I'm going to start this off here, and I don't want to sound ungrateful or like I'm a complainer, but I'm going to complain a little bit. I'm glad the Bears got a victory, and I'm glad there was very little, uh, concern about this game. Is very early on, the Bears took a dominant hold of this game, but there was a few things that just really frustrated me before we start jumping into all the good things.
All right, let's get it out of the way.
One, Shane Waldron is the biggest dipshit on earth when there's any sort of short yardage situation, like third and short, fourth and short, goal line situation. Just the man just like sticks a purple crayon into his brain and twists it around and just calls the dumbest plays. Just line up in the lining up with Doug Kramer as your fullback and Roschon Johnson behind him from I just hand it off from under center and let Doug Kramer lead the way and let Roschon Johnson have a full head of steam and dive into it. It's really hard to stop him. When you're having when they're getting stopped is when he's getting the handoff from the shotgun because he's getting it from a standstill and then has to start running. And at that point, he's dancing. Or you try to go outside and your offensive line isn't good enough to hold that up and people catch him from the running back from the backside. Just line it up. Don't do any tricks. you know what the Philadelphia Eagles did last year when it was short yardage?
Tush push.
The tush push. Did Ray Charles saw it coming? Stevie Wonder saw it coming. Helen Keller saw it coming. But guess what? The Eagles didn't care. They could have broadcasted on the Jumbotron. We're going to do the tush push. They're going to do it anyway. They don't care what you know what they're doing. They're going to do it anyway. And that's what the Bears should be doing, is line up Doug Kramer as a fullback and just pound it in there. Make them stop you. I don't care if they know it's coming. Don't try to outsmart everybody. Just go on there and pound the ball in. That's what good teams do. If you want to be a good team, do what you're going to do despite what them knowing you're going to do. It's different, it's 3rd and 10 and like, all right, then you might need some trickery in there. You might need a luck, but if it's a goal line situation or it's a 4th and inches, just line up. Don't complicate it. Just line up and smash mouth, helmet on helmet, and make them stop you. It's real hard to stop a guy with a full head of steam from going 6 inches. It's real hard. It's not that hard. I mean, it's not easy, but it's a lot easier when they're getting the ball from a standstill and then have to start running, because at that point you can have time to get penetration and take the feet out from under them, slow them down, just give them a head of steam and pound the ball in with a fullback. Good old-fashioned football. That's number 1. Number 2 is, why can't this team just step on a throat? In the second half, they're like, all right, we're winning by a lot. Let's just put this game out of hope for them and take our quarterback out and put in our backup and let's call this a day. But instead, you get dumb penalties and that just cost you drives. Dumb penalties, dropped passes. Just put it on, get aggressive and go for the jugular.
Anything else?
Yes, our offensive line still stinks. We faced the literal worst defensive line in football, and we still had trouble running the ball consistently. It worked early on to set up, at least enough where we weren't in 3rd and long, 2nd and long.
Yeah, I thought early on you established it quite well.
But you should have been, the second half, you should have just been pounding the rock, running the clock down, and long drives, keeping your defense fresh. You had a hard time running the ball against the shitty defensive line. And early on, you had trouble with your quarterback getting pressure on him from the worst defensive line in football. This offensive line is so bad, not only with their pass blocking and the run blocking, but just their ability to not make penalties. It's mind-boggling. And I don't know how this is going to get any better when we start facing teams that aren't pushovers. And I get that this is NFL and there's really no such thing as a cakewalk, but this is about as cakewalk as you can cakewalk.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is you played a really terrible Panthers team that's so bad that they've already, I don't want to say fully given up, but have pushed aside their first overall pick from last year to put in what's left of Andy Dalton. They're injured like hell. Their defense is terrible. Yeah, I mean, you have to respect every opponent in the NFL, no matter who it is. But this was truly a game you had to go out and dominate. And you did at the end of the day. To some of your points, I agree with the line and the penalties. And it wasn't really that prominent today, but there was a key penalty on the first drive of the second half. A drive that you were trying to really stomp on their throat. And it didn't matter at the end of the day, so it wasn't that big of a deal in the context of this game. But you pretty much had a drive killed at the beginning of the second half because of a dumb penalty when you're up by a number of points. That stuff can't happen. The other thing, too, that I will say is the script on the opening drive was not very good. It wasn't well executed. Caleb did not have a good ball to Keenan Allen on the first throw. It could have been picked, could have been a pick six, and Keenan Allen saved a pick six there. But you got off to a slow start in the first few drives. You didn't, and I mean offensive and defensive, because your first offensive drive was bad. The second one was great. That's when you took control. But you had the bad first offensive drive, and then you let them score. You let the Panthers score on that touchdown run where there was just absolutely nobody blocking Hubbard. So yeah, it was another game where things got off to a bad start. And against this team, I wasn't really worried about it. But when you play the Lions or the Minnesota Vikings or even the 49ers, you can't start the game off like that. Like those things can't happen. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm when we started the season, I was very concerned about the offensive line. And I I'm nothing has changed. I'm still very concerned. And now we're at the point where the first we're into the second quarter of the season and there's no sign of improvement. I don't know how you improve. Um I mean, I guess when Ryan Bates is healthy, you could try to make that switch. But again, I don't. That switch is not happening until after next week's game. That's
Right.
the earliest this switch is happening. And the sad part is that this week was facing literally the worst defensive line in football, and next week is a Jaguars team that's not very good either. So what you need is another dose of reality against a good defensive line or a good nose tackle that's going to just you're watching Coleman Shelton get the crap kicked out of him, play in and play out, and go, you know what? It's a reminder that we need to change him out. Uh, you know, if he plays, against another not intimidating defensive line in Jacksonville next week, you're like, okay, well, maybe things are improving a little bit, but I think this coaching staff really needs a kick in the ass to remind them that, oh yeah, Coleman Shelton's terrible. And if Ryan Bates is healthy, then yeah, we better put him in. Um, I think that's a big key to everything is if you can, and I hear, oh, Coleman Shelton's very smart and he can call out the you know the plays pre-snap and identify the blitzes and et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm sure he's a veteran in the NFL. I'm sure he knows what's going on, but he's just not a physically gifted enough athlete and football player to block interior offensive linemen or defensive linemen. He's just not good enough. So you got to put somebody in there that can block.
Yeah. Again, it'll be interesting to see how they handle this against some better teams. But I do want to say one thing about the second half of the game. You talked about running the ball effectively. And again, you saw it work in the first half. And you were using DeAndre Swift like you were last week as both a runner and a receiver. I mean, that play where Caleb Williams took the snap and kind of just floated it to Swift, and it was just a massive run that went down to the one. Those are the things you love seeing from DeAndre Swift. And you were able on that first drive to start pushing forward for positive yards on each run. And, you were making second down, third down much more manageable, and Caleb was able to help move the offense downfield. I'm going to say this in the second half, though. And I know it goes against traditional football where you have the big lead, you pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball, run out the clock and everything. But I I liked watching Caleb Williams just going out there and dissecting that defense in that second. He was still slinging it in the second half, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. Even just some of those quick passes to the middle of the field.
Yeah, you give Caleb Williams a little bit of time and good things are happening. We're seeing the growth. And we're gonna have a game where we all just shake our heads and like, oh the hell. But we're
Yeah.
seeing the growth of a really good young football player. And I know we all get discombobulated because we have the Texans quarterback who just defied all history with a really, really good rookie season. And, that's just not normal. I mean, go pull most quarterbacks. Like look at Peyton Manning's rookie year. He was terrible.
Peyton Manning, John Elway, Troy Aikman. You can list a lot of them. I mean, you see a lot of rookie quarterbacks who became great struggle at first, obviously. And, like you said, CJ Stroud was quite the anomaly. And you know what? He's got a great team around him, he's got great coaching around him, and that really, really helps. But yeah, you are going to see some rookie pains as we go still, but you love seeing the progress as we've gone over these past few games. He already has the record for yards as a rookie through how many games? Like it was the quickest to 1,000 yards, I believe the stat was. And I think he's the only Bears rookie quarterback to throw for 300 plus yards in a season. He's it's not a high bar, but you see the improvement he has and the calmness in the pocket is what really, really gets my attention. And I just love the fact that he can take those dump offs when necessary. There are still a few times when he's rolling around and he should probably throw the ball away. But you know what? Also credit him today, too. He used his legs quite well.
Yeah, he used it. And that's what I want to see is, Justin Fields used his legs as a as a almost a primary weapon at points. And I don't want that with Caleb Williams. I
No.
didn't want that with Justin Fields either. I've been, I think, pretty steadfast when I say I want Caleb Williams to use his legs like Aaron Rodgers did in his MVP seasons, where, all right, take my weapons away. That means I've got a lane to run. And he breaks your back. Patrick Mahomes does it too. He breaks your back. You're not worried about him, running like, when Justin Fields would take off, he could take it to the house. Or the guy from the Cardinals, he could take it to the house. Or Lamar Jackson can take it to the house. You don't worry about Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Caleb Williams taking it to the house, but to pick up 12, 13 yards and get that first down, oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. And that's what I want to see is take advantage, take what's there, run when it's there. Eventually, you're going to put them in a predicament where they go, uh-oh, he could run for this. So I better come up and try to take away the run. But when you do, then you're going to leave something else open, and he's got to be able to punish you with the short pass. Yeah. Somebody will be open if somebody steps up to try to take away the run.
Right, exactly. And you saw that today. And it sucks that one of his touchdowns got called back, the rushing touchdown he had, because Doug Kramer had the illegal move on that block, which ended up being a field goal. But, oh well. There were a bunch of other plays too where he got a first down or he got manageable yardage using his legs. But like you said, Justin Fields would do it as a primary weapon. This isn't what this is. You're not going to see Caleb Williams take off for the house from his own 40-yard line like you saw Justin Fields do. He doesn't have that speed and quite the athleticism that Fields has, but Caleb Williams has the smarts to know when to do it and how to do it. So you get that first down, you keep the drive moving. That's really his ultimate goal there. And today, what you saw from Caleb Williams, again, you saw the reads. You saw him hit his open guys. You didn't see him go deep much, but he did go deep once, and he nailed it to DJ Moore. That was another elite throw. So now you're looking since last week. You got 3 touchdown passes to DJ Moore, and it really didn't look like the chemistry between the two was there. Well, you know what? I think it's starting to come together.
Yeah, and I listened to Olin Kreutz talk about it a little bit, and it makes sense. Is what you have is a veteran who is going to tell you, hey, when I'm not just open, when I'm actually fighting to get open, this is what I like to do, or this is how I want the ball thrown, or this is how I'm going to deviate from the route if I can't get my man off me and I'm trying to get open. And he's saying, like, listen, I'm telling you as the quarterback, this is what you need to throw when I'm doing this. We have to, and that's just takes time to work with and understand. So
And DJ Moore, he's a perfectionist. He's a very serious dude who wants only perfection. So when something doesn't go right, yeah, he'll be frustrated. He's not mad at Caleb Williams. I think he was a little frustrated too with Shane Waldron at first, but I think Shane Waldron and DJ Moore and Caleb Williams, I think all 3 of those guys are now kind of getting into a rhythm with each other now. And you know what? New coordinator with a new system, new quarterback, rookie quarterback. Like you said, there's going to be some figuring out. And there was a little too much from the media. Oh, DJ Moore's a diva. It's like, no, listen. DJ Moore cares deeply about his performance. And when things don't go right, yeah, he's not going to be cheerleading on the sidelines, so to speak. I mean, he's going to figure it out. He has figured it out, and everything seems to be fine now. So keep it going. Keep using him as a number 1 wide receiver, because over the last 2 weeks, that's what we've seen him be, a number 1 wide receiver. And this week he had 2 touchdown catches and over 100 yards. That is what number 1s do.
Right. And use him like that, and use everybody for what their experience and their skill level is. There's still things I want to see them do more. You saw them start to roll out Caleb Williams a little more this week, and you saw good results.
Something I've been begging for. It's like, why don't they do it more?
Yeah, but nobody can explain it. I mean, it's not even just Shane Waldron. Is Luke Getsy last year. Roll Justin Fields up. No. And, sorry, I just want to throw barb at the people that are like, Luke Getsy got a job right away and nobody wanted Justin Fields. And that just proves it was Justin Fields' fault, not Luke Getsy's fault. Luke Getsy's offense stinks. he's got a veteran quarterback that's a pocket passer in there for him. And he's got Devontae Adams, and
who's probably going to be gone.
Oh yeah. That dude's going to get traded. I'm short of the Jets, which is not going to help them at all. But, and then Justin Fields is playing really well. So I'm just saying Luke Getsy stinks. Regardless of what you think about Justin Fields, Luke Getsy stinks.
The one thing he was good at was the opening drive script. That's one thing that he was good at, and Shane Waldron isn't.
I just don't understand how hard can it be to practice an opening script, work on those plays.
Yeah, I know. Luckily it didn't matter today, but like I said, against better teams, you're going to want to start off better. But anyway, back to Caleb Williams. Watching today, I like the fact that I can sit and watch my quarterback and say, he's not going to get overwhelmed. And listen, he's going to face better defenses as we go forward. And things might be a little different against tougher defenses to start as a rookie quarterback. But when he found that rhythm today against this awful Panthers team, when he dropped back to throw a pass, I felt like he's going to complete this pretty much every time. And one of the few times he didn't was DJ Moore just dropping a wide open pass that would have gotten me a few more fantasy points. And even DJ Moore called himself trash. So, jokingly, of course. DJ Moore had a great day, could have been even better. But my whole point was today watching Caleb Williams, I loved watching him just sling it. And doesn't have to drop back and throw 50-yard bombs. Doesn't have to keep doing that. He was just going out there, throwing 8 15-yard strikes, just moving the ball down the field. It was just a lot of fun to watch. And the confidence that I see over the past 2 games in that pocket, you just hope that that can keep up because he's going to face some much tougher defenses as we go forward. You hope that that confidence stays up because that's confident we haven't seen from many Bears quarterbacks in our lifetime. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to see Justin take some more deep shots.
Justin?
I'm sorry, Justin. Caleb take some more deep shots. I think that needs to happen, even if they're not going to connect, just to keep the defense honest. I think he needs to be a little more aggressive at times. But what I do like is, there's still times where you're like, oof, that was a bad throw by Caleb. Bad throw. But his bad throws they're just incomplete. They're not being intercepted. That's key, is he's starting to play within the confines of the offense. I do want to see him start to get a little more aggressive, but I do like when, when he misses on a throw, it's missing that nobody's catching it rather than getting intercepted, which is what we've seen historically with Bears quarterbacks.
And you know what else is so much fun to watch? Yards after the catch.
Yeah.
It is a sight to see. You saw a throw to Cole Kmet, just that little sidearm throw he had to Cole Kmet, and he got an extra, 15 some yards.
Yeah.
You saw a few throws to DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen gets it right there in the middle of the field, accelerates for another 10 yards or so. It's just so nice to see that kind of thing. And I really hope that they can keep this tempo going against the harder teams, because you know what? Your division is insane. The NFC sucks, and your division is insane.
This division is ridiculous. The Lions are still probably the class of the division.
They're so good.
But the Vikings, just even like today, they finally had a bad game from their quarterback, and they still found a way to win.
Washed up Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers looked bad. I love it. Love it.
The one time I'm like, Rodgers, you could do us a solid here. The asswipe throws an interception. He looked terrible the week before. Wasn't that when they lost like 10-9?
I don't know. I know they lost and he didn't do very well.
Against Denver.
But man, like
worst.
The Jets are going to be stupid and they're going to give up a lot for Devontae Adams, and it's not going to help at all.
Well, they're going to do it because Aaron tells them to.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, this division's really good. And if you have any chance, you got to beat those teams. You got to take at least one of each, I think.
At least.
At the very least, to even have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's starting to look already like it's going to be real tough to make the playoffs, let alone win this division. Because
I'm not expecting them to win the division regardless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 3-2 after 5 games, and you're already 2 games out of first. Like, you're like, damn, how does this happen? Like, how do the Vikings? I mean, the Vikings are going to come back to reality at some point, right?
But they're not going to keep up these winning ways, but I think with O'Connell as their coach and the talent they do have, I think they're a legitimate team. I don't know what the ceiling is over a full season, but I do think they're a legitimate team. It's it's Detroit, man. That team is insanely good. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year at this rate. They're that good. The line is good. Ben Johnson is a play calling wizard. And you know what? If they do win the Super Bowl, then it goes to show what a good offensive line can do because their offensive line is the class of the NFL. Aspire to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears in this offseason need to basically just take all their resources and construct a bulletproof offensive line.
Wouldn't it be great? Can we wave a magic wand and have Penei Sewell?
Right?
He's got to be. Would you say he's the best lineman in football? At least the top five.
Probably, yeah. I mean, honestly, the right tackle for the Panthers was really good. I mean, he really did handled uh Montez Sweat today.
Yeah, Montez Sweat. You didn't even hear his name called once. Not
No,
that you really needed it, but
that's the cool part is the Bears were able to get pressure without Montez Sweat today.
yeah, exactly. Like you didn't hear his name once, but boy, I tell you, before this season started, I bought high on the Gervon Dexter stock, and it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Javon Dexter is just looking really good. I mean, I know people were super mad about not taking Jalen Carter, and I'm hoping in the long run that Darnell Wright pans out because then you can be like, all right, well, we got a starting tackle over here, and we also got a defensive lineman that's as good, if not better, than Jalen Carter. Javon Dexter is a beast.
He's a monster. He is a monster. I also have, speaking of Darnell Wright, why is he not good now?
I mean, nobody. Why did Tevin Jenkins stop playing well? Like, what the hell happened? There,
I think it's physical with him. That's my opinion.
I just, I mean, there's got to be something with this scheme that just I have no idea. I can't explain it.
Yeah, because I mean, Darnell Wright was legitimately solid last year as a rookie, and this year he's just been such a turnstile on a number of occasions. But with Tevin Jenkins, I really do think that that's a physical thing. I could be wrong. That's just because I mean, he's been in and out of the last several games, right? He's started the game, but have come out last week and this week.
Yeah.
And he's got a history of injuries. So I don't know. Would you be surprised if they were saying he was playing hurt worse than we thought? It wouldn't
Uh,
for me.
I mean, they say that all the time as like an explanation of why somebody played bad. I feel like that's just the generic.
But wouldn't
Uh,
it make sense?
it would, but I mean, why has uh Braxton Jones regressed? Why has Darnell Wright regressed? Why has like everybody's playing worse than they did last year?
At least Braxton Jones looked a little better today, it seemed.
I mean, the whole offensive line looked better today. I mean, especially after that first drive, but like by the second half, they were protecting a lot better.
No, they were. I mean, they had a good day in terms of being the Bears' offensive line. I get it. You're playing the Panthers, but, it wasn't an ugly scene with the offensive line. Did Caleb Williams get sacked like once or twice? Not many times today. So at least there was that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's you know like I want to see what they're going to do against halfway decent, if not good, defensive lines. But maybe they need this time of playing against a terrible Panthers offense or defensive line and a mediocre Jaguars defensive line and a bye week, and maybe just that time working together gels. Um,
get a little confidence.
get a
find
little,
stuff that works.
yeah.
That would be ideal. I do have one other complaint about this game, and I just want to say it. And I hate being this guy, but I'm going to say it. There were two calls against the Bears today. One was a hold, one was pass interference.
The pass interference one was so bogus.
I mean, it just, the funny thing is that pass interference call gave them the Panthers 3 points. They didn't matter, but the only reason the Panthers scored outside of the opening touchdown was because of that call. Also, I don't remember when it was exactly, but I believe there was a really nice first down pass from Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet that was called on a hold. I think it was on Swift, and it wasn't a hold. I don't know. Those two calls were just, they didn't mean anything, but they were really, really bogus. And it was almost like there was a time when the refs were hunting for penalties. It's like, come on. Although I will say, I was a little surprised that Byard pick wasn't called PI in a way.
You
It,
know,
it
it
just,
like I see what you're saying about like I'm surprised it wasn't called, but it absolutely was not.
oh no, I'm not
Because
saying it was.
if they would have called it, I would have been so angry because yeah, he was handsy, but he was the one with the line of sight on it. The wide receiver's the one that lost it and didn't have his head turned around. So, it's Byard is the one that's going for the ball. Like if, he has the right to he has a right to get to the ball. So if he's hand fighting and he's got his eyes on it, you've got to let him play through it. And they let him and he got that interception. I was real happy about that because I got a little nervous too because
I was waiting for the flag to fly in.
again, I was watching on my phone. So I was like, oh man, that looked a little handsy. But then when they showed it, the replay, I was like, oh, there was a good no call because he had total eyes on that. He was playing center field with that.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. It was a good no call. It's just to the naked eye, initially, you would think, oh, wow, I'm surprised they didn't throw something there, especially with how ticky tacky the one DPI was that they called on them and that one hold. I just wanted to point that out.
Right. Let's see. Bears run defense, still a little bit of that's the Achilles heel on this defense. We thought it was going to be the pass rush, and they've actually been pretty good with the pass rush. And the Panthers invested a lot of last year. They had an absolute trash offensive line. They invested a lot of money, and they actually have a pretty good offensive line. I was really impressed that the Bears were able to get as much pressure as they did. But defense against running the ball is a little porous. It's not terrible, but man, they are susceptible at times, and we've seen the last couple of weeks some big runs.
Yeah, we have. I mean, you look at the opening Panthers drive, and even towards the beginning of the game, they were getting some chunk plays on the run. And I mean, what helped the Bears was you took the lead quickly. After you fell behind, you tied it quickly, you took the lead quickly. Next thing you know, you're up multiple scores and you're forcing Andy Dalton to throw the ball. That takes away the run out of the equation. Goes to show what a good offense can do when you score early and often. But yeah, I mean, they got gashed in decently by the Rams last week. And if it was a closer game against the Panthers, you would have seen Hubbard been used more because they've been running the ball quite well as a whole. Like you said, they invested a lot of money in their offensive line. They've been running the ball quite well. And I said going into this game, if there's one concern I have against the Panthers is that they're going to be able to gash the ball on the ground. I wasn't worried at all about 2024 Andy Dalton coming to Soldier Field and slinging it like Tom Brady. That was never a concern of mine. I was also not concerned about the Bears' offense against their defense, even though the Bears' offense is historically a joke and we should rarely ever have confidence in a Bears' offense. But just with the way Caleb looked last week and the way the run looked last week, I thought, okay, we should get some points against this Panthers defense. But defending the run was one of my concerns. But like I said, the fact that you were able to take the lead and take it commanding quickly, you took away that run.
Yeah, and Hubbard, he averaged 7.5 yards a carry in this game. You're like, okay, well, he had that long touchdown run of 38 yards. Take that run away. He's still averaging 5 yards a carry in this game. That's too many yards a carry. And there was a few that they were able to stuff him, but for the most part, he was getting positive yards every time he touched the ball. Like you said though, is when the Bears got up, it made Panthers one dimensional. And and honestly, since they've put Andy Dalton in, our offense has not been bad.
No, the previous 2 weeks they scored some points. They got the win over the Raiders, and even though they lost the next week, was it to the Bengals? I think it was.
I don't remember, but they put up some
But they put
points.
up points. Yes, they
Yeah,
put up points.
and and the Bears were really successful in slowing them down, and and then once the Bears got the lead, really making them one dimensional and taking away what they did was really good job is they took away all of the short underneath stuff and dared Andy Dalton to go deep. And
And you
just
saw what happened as a result.
yeah, when the play took longer to develop, he was getting sacked. And actually, surprisingly, is when they took Andy Dalton out at the end and they put Bryce Young in, he actually he actually didn't play so bad.
No, I mean, I know it was towards the end of the game, but yeah, I mean, his first throw when he was running to his right and then dropped that pass in, yeah, it was a nice throw.
Yeah, I'm not writing off Bryce Young as an NFL quarterback. Um, like I said, is when I watched all the film on him, I saw a good quarterback. My concerns were he was short and he doesn't have a big build. Just like Jaden Daniels with Washington. Like I was like, oh, that's a really good quarterback. My concern with him is the build is he's going to get hurt. And and just like with RG3, wasn't the talent, it was the injury the concerns. And that's what my concern was with Bryce Young. And last year the kid got thrown to the wolves with a coaching staff that didn't want him and got him he got dealt to them. They wanted CJ Stroud and they had no weapons and no offensive line and he just got brutalized. And this year they got a better offensive line, a better running game, still didn't have a lot of good weapons and he struggled. They needed a veteran to come in and just be like, "Hey, simplify this. Short just take work within the off." I think he's going to be a fine quarterback. I still think the Bears absolutely fleeced them with that trade. I
Well, you
mean,
know that trade was going to get brought up a number of times today, and you even saw the Fox broadcast show you a fan that made that big poster of showing everything the Bears got. And the Panthers, they just had Bryce Young and then a big frowny face underneath.
yeah, I think he's going to be a fine quarterback. Um, I mean, it just might take him a little time, and it might not be with the Panthers. I mean, honestly, the Panthers trading him away might be the best thing for him.
Well, it's worked with some other quarterbacks.
Like Trey Lance, I was like, that dude's trash, and I never thought that he was going to mount anything. But like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, we saw them, go through Carolina in the last couple of years, and they thought they were going to be able to revive their careers, and they were like, nope, these guys are trash. And Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are two of the better quarterbacks in the league this year.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's organizational. We know that with the Bears.
Ooh, here's a stat. Somebody just posted this. After today, Caleb Williams has more wins in the NFL in his career than Bryce Young.
Uh, well, I mean, it's true.
It is. You know, another thing that what I want to see from this Bears team, I really, really, really hope that as we play more difficult teams, is that we utilize the weapons that Caleb has to the max because I feel like we're figuring out DJ Moore. We had a good game from Roma Dunze a few weeks ago. I want to see a little more of that. I want to see more Cole Kmet. I really want to see more Cole Kmet. And today, you saw a little Cole Kmet. You didn't see much Roma Dunze, but you was still part on the field. But you saw a lot of DJ Moore. And that, again, not complaining. That's what a number one wide receiver is. I just am curious to see when we play better opponents, how we're going to spread this out, how we're going to utilize things. And I'm really looking forward to at least giving him an opportunity to see that come together because week 2 against the Texans, he was still very raw. Things weren't going well. The system wasn't fully put in, but I just hope that what we see going forward with this team is we see a spread out, consistent offense because today was so much fun. And I don't want to sit here thinking it's just the Panthers, it's just the Panthers. But when you look at what some of the things Caleb Williams does, you're like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty legit. So one game at a time, obviously, because we're going to get to those hard games eventually. But keep building. That's my ultimate thing here is keep building. Because since week 2, it's been a steady progression upwards.
You know, with this offense, we're not going to see games where, Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze go for over 100 or Roma Dunze and DJ Moore go for over 100 or
Of course.
it's I want to see matchups. So today DJ Moore was a really good matchup and I think most people that know this team well said, hey, I think DJ Moore is going to have a big game today. Number one, it was against his former team and he wanted to do well. And number two, just the matchup favored him really well. And you're like, okay, and that's what you saw is I want to see games where, all right, if you're going to play, really press man coverage, physical, all right, then Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, those are going to, and or DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are going to be your dudes. And if you're looking for your deep shots, with a bad safety play or some starting safeties are injured and you've got young backup safeties. All right, well then look for Roma Dunze and DJ Moore to have big games. I want to go with matchups and see what you have there and find the best matchup. And again, we've seen this historically with the Bears is they try to be too cute, is to go the Bill Belichick route. If you see that a team can't stop you from doing something, just keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Yes. Thank you.
I don't care if they know, oh, you know what? They really can't stop that sweep to the right when we pull the guard and pull the tackle and we line up big over there. They just can't stop that. Like we should keep that in our back pocket for later. No, do it until they can't stop it anymore. I would run the same play 400 times in a row if it worked. Okay, because I am not above. I'm not trying to outsmart anybody. I'm trying to win a game. That's all I care about. Is the end of the game. Did we win? And if the running joke for the next week is, man, Sean only called one play that whole game, and I'd be like, did it work? Okay, that's press conference. Like I would be fine with that. Bill Belichick would do that. If he saw a play worked, he would run it all the time until you could show that you could stop it. And if you couldn't stop it, he was going to do it all game long. He didn't care. He was going to use that to his advantage. And that's what I want to see the Bears do is I don't care. If you're like, oh, they can't cover Cole Kmet with their linebacker. All right. Well, then keep running that. Sure, if you want to run variations of it so it doesn't get stale, like, oh, a crossing pattern or, a uh, a double move with him or roll out with a naked boot and dump off to Cole Kmet or flip the sides of the field. I don't care, but keep going with that. Make that matchup happen. If Cole Kmet is going to burn their linebacker consistently, then guess what? Make that matchup happen all game long.
Yeah, and I guess what my point was if you're playing a good team, a good lockdown defense, and you have your plan and it's not working, the opposite of what you're saying, then utilize your other weapons.
Yeah.
Because we've seen games where your quarterback isn't it's not connecting, where you're throwing deep balls to Carter and it's not connecting. And we're sitting there saying, why are you throwing to Carter and Everett when you have Cole Kmet? If it's working, yes. But what I'm saying is if you're playing an opponent and they got something you have locked down, Carolina Panthers couldn't lock down DJ Moore, obviously. And they couldn't lock down DeAndre Swift in the first half either. That's why he kept going to those two. But when you have something that's not working, I want to see the Bears able to change up their game plan and try something else with some of the other guys you have. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
absolutely.
point I was getting
Yeah,
to.
I mean you have options. It's not like you only have like last year. What did you have other than DJ Moore? You had to go to that well. Is you've got Keenan Allen, you've got Cole Kmet, you've got Roma Dunze, you've got DJ Moore, you've got DeAndre Swift that you could line up in the slot if you wanted to. Like there's different things you can do. Is you're right. Find matchups. Keep working matchups until you find something that's working and utilize it. I want to see, I don't I'm over the using DeAndre Swift between the tackles. I want to get him in space. Is
That's when he's at his best.
you know, I I was a big fan of the idea of getting Derrick Henry on this team and watching him in overtime today went,
Oh,
man, I could really use that. That would be good on these goal line plays. You're like, oh, well, let's just line up Doug Kramer with Derrick Henry behind him. Like, I don't care what me and you could be on that offensive line and we're gonna get that touchdown. Uh, but like, but if you're gonna have DeAndre Swift, is utilize him to the best of his ability, is dump off passes, swing passes to him, like is find ways, find mismatches, roll him out, or roll Caleb Williams out and have the option where, you put pressure on the defender of, do I go and try to make the play on Caleb Williams and then leave DeAndre Swift open, or do I try to cover DeAndre Swift and then either let Caleb Williams have a free throwing lane to somebody else or let him run it? Like put the pressure on those defenders to make mistakes and beat them. Like use those guys as their weapons. Your DeAndre Swift between the tackles isn't a very good weapon. Just
no,
being
we saw
honest.
that the first few weeks.
We've seen that his entire career.
You try to shimmy and shake behind an offensive line between the tackles, you're not going to outmuscle them or maneuver them that way. That's
I
what you
mean,
have a power run for.
yeah, that's that's not what he is, and I don't understand why Shane Waldron keeps wanting to use him that way. Is you've got two other running backs that are much more better equipped for running between the tackles. Khalil
Yeah,
Herbert is made to run between the tackles.
was that return he had today like the only touch he got?
Yes. In fact, that might
Which,
have been that might have been the only play he had.
you know what? I like the way they used Roshan Johnson today on the goal line. That worked really well, obviously. But yeah, it's like Khalil Herbert's kind of been in the doghouse.
I don't know if it's the doghouse or if it's they really like Roshan Johnson, um, and they really
Which,
like DeAndre
yes, could
Swift.
be.
And if those are the cases, all right. I mean, there's only so many touches you're going to get, but Khalil Herbert will get his day. Somebody's going to get nicked up. Somebody's going to be out for a week or so, and in those cases, you're going to have to bring him in, and he's going to have to carry the weight. He's going to get his shot.
Speaking of doghouse, I want to bring this up too. Another week with no Velus Jones.
Yep.
He has not played since opening day, right?
Which makes me wonder, why do you keep him?
Yeah. He's just going to be healthy scratched.
Like, if you're not going to play him, why not try to move him or release him and bring in somebody that will possibly get playing time or be on the active roster or get meaningful snaps? Either another offensive lineman that you try to work in, or another wide receiver, another kick returner. Like, it's if he's not going to get plays, what's the point of having him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not just 1 or 2 weeks. It's now several weeks.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But it was really nice? When you saw that report before the game, it was really small.
Oh,
That
the
was good to see.
injury
Yeah.
report.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's it is nice. I mean, this team has been pretty healthy. Um,
I am knocking on wood as hard as I can.
yeah, I just, the guy I want to see be back is Ryan Bates.
Right.
Um, it's he's got to be the guy. I don't think the Bears are ever going to give Doug Kramer the shot, so it's going to have to be Ryan Bates that takes the spot of Coleman Shelton, because he's terrible.
Yeah, agreed. There was another comment I want to make on the defense. We saw the defense hold the vaunted Carolina Panthers to 10 points. You got several takeaways. I just want to say this. Ryan Poles, so far, has really done a good job with the linebacking core. The presence of Tremaine Edmonds caused a drop. You remember that play?
Yep, that guy had he was there, catch, and he looked and saw Edmonds barreling down on him and just dropped it. Made a business decision.
Yep. And you see how TJ Edwards, he's legitimately one of the best tacklers out there. He's rock solid at what he does. And I can't remember who tweeted this, but last week, somebody's like, oh, how could the Bears just get rid of Roquan Smith? Look, we have a linebacking core that makes up for that value and more. Roquan Smith was a great player for the Bears, but what they've replaced him with was just has worked flawlessly so far. TJ Edwards has been really good. Tremaine Edmonds has been really good. And the nice thing about having Matt Eberflus calling the plays is Matt Eberflus knows linebacking, and they've been able to make this work. Hell, before they had those two guys, you saw what they did with Jack Sanborn. So that's one thing I'm going to give Eberflus's flowers for. The way they use the linebackers, plugging the system, the guys they find, it's all worked out really, really well.
Right. I just do want to say this too, is my final comment on Justin Fields is this is week 5 and this will be the 5th game he's getting all the snaps. He's got to get 50% of the snaps for the Bears to get that 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting closer and closer.
Yep. Sean has a big tally just in his bedroom. He's got this big whiteboard just tallying everything.
I mean, I do. It's the difference between a 4th and a 6th round pick is huge.
It's massive. It's massive. Boy,
Yeah.
and think about that. Imagine if you get that pick and then the Panthers give you the best possible pick in the 2nd round.
Which it's looking like it will be. We're five weeks in, and the current NFL standings are in the NFC East. Everybody has at least 2 wins. In the NFC West, the Rams only have 1 win. They're 1-4, but we saw that team. They're a lot better than 1-4. They just are decimated at certain positions with injuries. They're going to win games. Everybody in the NFC North has at least 3 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And in the NFC South, the Panthers are the only team with 1 win. Let's see. Patriots have 1 win. Everybody in the AFC West has at least 2. In the AFC North, the Browns and the Bengals have 1 win. And the Bengals are clearly better than that. They just had a really tough schedule. But they're better than 1-4. I'm not saying they're good.
I'm not so good.
I'm just saying is when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you've got to be better than 1-4.
Well, I can't believe you saw the end of that game, right?
Oh my God. I was watching it live and I was like screaming. If that was coaching, why the reason the Bengals lost that game was coaching. I'm like, you don't need a 1st down. They're going to protect the sticks. Dump it off underneath and let them pick up 8 yards. Make that a much easier kick. Make that a kick that's like 47 yards instead of 56 yards or whatever. And then you get a bad hold.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, you had the prime takeaway on that fumble recovery from Lamar Jackson at midfield, and you played so scared. You were playing for a 50-plus yard field goal. And you know what? Kickers are much better these days. But when you have the hold as bad as it was, guess what? When that stuff happens, you miss kicks by a lot. And that kick was missed by a lot.
Because it was that hold was so bad. I mean,
so bad.
The snap wasn't great, but it was that hold was terrible. That was way worse than the one from Ace Ventura. Finkel and Einhorn. Hey, you got any more of that gum?
Didn't know we would make that reference on this show, but hey, we always make references that we don't predict.
So yeah, Patriots are 1-4. The Bengals are not going to be. They're not going to be one of the 4 worst teams at the end of the year. The Browns, maybe. They on paper they're way too good.
Yeah, the Browns are looking pretty bad.
Yeah, Browns
That's
are
a mess.
That is a hot mess. Man, I guarantee you though, had they kept Joe Flacco and got rid of uh, the rapist, or the serial toucher, they would be so much better than they are.
Oh yeah, I mean that Deshaun Watson, that contract, that whole thing, that just right there is you made your bed, sleep in that.
Yep. Um, so you're looking at the Titans and the Jaguars are only have one win each too. So I'm thinking that it's hard at this point to imagine a world where the Panthers aren't going to be one of the four worst teams.
Right, right. Because I mean, like you said, the Titans could be there. What was the other one you were mentioned?
Patriots.
Yeah, that team doesn't look very good.
I mean, they're way better than I was expecting them to be. I thought them and the Panthers would just be just absolute bottom feeders, and they're both not good, but the Patriots have played better than I expected. Um, and that I had a really low bar though. Uh, the Jaguars are 1-4. I think they're better than that. Um, they're putting up points. That just defense is real bad. Um, and the Titans are just a turnover machine. I don't know.
Yeah.
They should be winning more games than that. So I still think, uh, you know, you're looking at probably Patriots, um, Patriots and Panthers, probably 1-2 for worst teams this year.
Yeah, it could very well be.
But either way, it's looking like the Bears are going to have a really good pick in the second round from the Panthers.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, I know. It'll be nice. It'll be nice to have, you know, our first round and 2 second rounds.
And DJ Moore and Caleb Williams and Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, and it'll be nice not having to play guesswork of who we're going to draft. It's it's going to be uh it's going to be, oh, hey, who's the best offensive lineman on the board? Yep, that guy.
Yep, exactly.
Did you happen to see Bo Nix and Sean Payton going at it today?
I saw a picture, like a screen grab. I didn't see the video.
Whew, they look like they were fired up.
And they still won thanks to Gardner Minshew, who got benched. Is Gardner Minshew the new Ryan Fitzpatrick? A dude who like will look great one game and is just absolutely terrible the next one.
Probably. Um, with bad hair.
Yes.
He really is Ryan Fitzmagic. But next week, um, we go to London to play the Jaguars, and if this was in America, I wouldn't be that concerned.
Same.
Um, like that Jaguars defense is not good. Uh, they are um against they are oof, they're third worst in the NFL. 2 points from being second worst behind the Panthers. So they're not a good defense, but just going to London. Remember
Screws everything up.
remember when the Bears played the Raiders
Yep.
overseas
Yep.
and just the Bears didn't show up. It's like they didn't get off the plane.
Yeah, that's like if this was here in the United States, I would not be worried about this matchup, but I'm very worried about this matchup now because of that fact. The Jaguars have traveled there many times, the Bears have not in recent years. Stupid, weird things happen in these international games, and maybe it's okay. Maybe they'll end up winning. I'm not saying they can't win, but the confidence I have just because of these circumstances changes. I hate these. I hate when a Chicago team plays in these games.
I do like that they're going to be playing at 8:30 in the morning.
I mean, sure.
Like, do you know how nice that is? Is I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna pour myself a bowl of blueberry cereal or Frankenberry cereal, and with my jammies on the couch, eating my cereal, watching the game, and then they'll be done before lunchtime. And then I can put in a frozen pizza into the oven and make myself a little lunch,
Cutting it into four.
cutting it into four like I did tonight.
We ordered pizza from our local pizzeria after the Bears game. It was really, really nice.
Uh, it's wild. All right. So, like on like Instagram reels, and they'll have like these videos where it's like hipsters will be like, oh, the best place to get this food in Chicago. And they just name like the top 10 tacos in the city. And they just name 10 hipster taco places that, yeah, like I'm never going to eat there. I'm going to eat at a real taqueria. Well, on several of those, they had like best pizza in the city. And it's all these like stupid hipstery pizza places. And then a bunch of them have named this place called Frank's Pizza that is this dumpy little hole in the wall place on Belmont right by my house. And I'm like, I've driven by that place. I always thought it was shut down. It like it doesn't look open. It is just like there. It's just a little sign. And I was talking to my neighbor who's lived here like his whole life. And he's like, that place on Belmont? I'm like, yeah. He goes, have you ever been in that place? I've been in there once. And he's like, it's like a shoe closet. He's like, it's just this tiny little place and everything's old as shit. And I'm like, all right. So I told my wife, I'm like, let's try this place. And went and picked up a pizza. It was actually pretty good. But I'm like, how in the hell did the hipsters find this place? And I was talking to the owner while I was there, and he goes, yeah, since this started showing up on like TikTok and Instagram reels and stuff, he's like, I don't use any of this social media. He's like, somehow it made it on there. He's like, people are driving here from Wisconsin and Iowa to get the pizza. And I'm like, you're all dumb. Why are you driving this far for pizza?
I am looking this up right now.
It's
Frank's
called like
Pizzeria.
Frank's Pizzeria on Belmont.
Yep.
Look at the pictures of the outside of the building. You're like, what a dumpy little place.
You're kind of right. That does look like it's not even open.
And when you go inside, it looks like they still allow smoking. That's the interior just yells, yeah, we're on the down low. We allow smoking in here.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're kind of right.
They don't, but like when you walk in, you're like, yeah, this is the vibe.
Wow. I mean, it looks, but wow, I'm looking at the reviews and the ratings. It's like 4.5 stars.
Yeah. And like the pizza was pretty good.
The pizza, I'm looking at the pictures. It looks really good.
Yeah. So like, yeah, so we hopped over there, and like I was like, oh yeah. And I just called it in and hopped over there and parked on illegally across the street on Belmont, walked in, grabbed it on the way home.
Since 1952, smoking, choking, and chowing with the king at Frankie's Pizzeria. And the picture here is of the Frankie's Pizzeria sign at night, and half the letters aren't even lit. You know what? I want to try this place.
It's hilarious. It's like, and the dude who owns it, like he's like old Italian guy, and his knuckles look like they're so arthritic they look like garlic knots. You're like, man, those knuckles would be delicious if we slathered them in butter.
Ew. This honestly though looks like my kind of hole in the wall place.
Yeah.
This absolutely looks like a place I would absolutely vibe with.
But it's hilarious because like the seating booth looks like it was made for people in 1952 and not for people in 2024.
Well, looking at the pictures, it looks like everything they made in 1952, everything they assembled and put together is exactly the way it was.
I would, if you told me they hadn't renovated ever, I'd be like, that checks.
There is no way this has been renovated ever. The only thing they probably did was replace some of the light bulbs. There is no way this place has ever been renovated. But god damn it, I love this vibe. And just these pictures, like that hard wood with like the checkered uh tablecloths and the candle and the booths. Like this is my kind of place.
And I don't like in the pictures, it's making it look a lot bigger than it really is. Like I think Scottie Pippen could touch the walls on either side by just stretching out his arms. It's really small in there.
I like to think you're trying to get through the door and you're like squeezing through, and somebody needs to like take a broom and just shove you through the door.
Well, it was almost like that because there was me and two other people waiting to pick up a pizza, and nobody else could come in because there was no space for any of us to go. Because there's no like hostess stand or anything like that. It's just you walk in and then you're just like you're at somebody's table. Like if you're looking at it, like you're at one of those booths. That's where you're standing when you walk in. You're like, oh, there I am.
All
I'm
right, listen. One of these days, I'm gonna hit you up and we're gonna go to this place.
I'm
All right,
in.
it's settled.
But it is such like a hole in the wall. You're like in the daytime when the lights on the sign aren't on. You're like, nah. There's no way that place is still in business, is still open. And then you're like, so it was so wild to see uh that it was on so many of those like best pizza places in Chicago hipster videos.
Hey, convince the owner to let us record a podcast episode there.
I, we'll get Big Dave there to come.
Yeah, yeah. He's so like, hey, Big Dave, we got pizza. Oh, we going to Peace Pizza again? What?
But yeah, so Frank's Pizzeria, like I was like, in a million years, I would have never guessed that place on Belmont would be on so many people's like top five pizza spots in Chicago. And here we are.
You know it was great pizza that I can't find anywhere anymore. When I was a little kid, there was one in Elmhurst, and I was really little then they left. And then there was one on North Avenue by college, and I was able to go there, and then they soon closed after that. It was there for the longest time. Did you ever have Eduardo's?
I don't think so.
Oh, Eduardo's was so good. So good. They had the stuffed spinach deep dish pizza that was to die for. And I don't know if there are any Eduardo's left. There might be. Just the two I know, the one that was in Elmhurst like 25 plus years ago when I was a really little kid, that's long gone. And the one on North Avenue, that closed recently. But when I was in college, it was still there and I was able to go there. But oh, Eduardo's was good.
It looks like they have two locations left. One on Dearborn and one in Munster, Indiana, which is a really two odd places that don't.
Munster, Indiana. Huh. But you said Dearborn, right?
Yeah.
Dearborn and
Um,
like, do you know what region of the Chicagoland area it's technically in?
let me. Sorry, I'm Eduardus Pizza location 1212 North Dearborn. Let's look that on the map. Division in Dearborn. So
Oh,
the
it's
nearest,
okay.
yeah, like um, it's over by the the curve in Lakeshore Drive.
Okay. Yeah, so in the city.
Yeah, so like yeah, but north of the Mag Mile, south like between Mag Mile and Lincoln Park.
Like I said though, best spinach stuffed pizza you'd ever eat.
Pizza. Love pizza.
Yeah, shout out to Mama Maria's Pizza in my hometown. They make excellent tavern style pizza and indulged on some after the Bears game today. It was great and it tasted just a little better because the Bears won. So,
Uh, But yeah, so we've got the game in London coming up, as we said, and honestly, if you're looking at it academically, um, you know, offensively, we should be able to replicate what we saw today.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, it's going to be a little tougher. I mean, they've struggled at times, but they've got a good running game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, is Bigsby is a good running back. He ran for almost 8 yards a carry against Indianapolis this week. Um, Trevor Lawrence had a good game this week, but um, I
And I just hope they're not too fatigued out there,
that's
not too
that's the
jet
hope
lagged.
because the Jaguars play there every year, so it's
Yeah,
um,
that's my concern.
yeah. So my hope is that we see similar style game. Like I said, is I think you can contain that or their offense. They've got young, unproven wide receivers. They've got a quarterback that has been real spotty this year. If you can contain the run, or better yet, like today, in a position where they sort of take stop running because they're trying to score points. Um, I think I think could come away with a victory.
Stack your wins now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, you have to stack your wins.
And it's still bugs me we didn't win that Colts game.
Yeah, I mean, you know how nice it would have been uh, instead of 3-2, be 4-1.
Yeah.
It it,
Though,
it it changes the dynamic of how you look at the rest of the season.
right. But, you could also look at it this way too. At least you can say, in a weird way, hey, you also won a game you should have lost in week one.
Fair, fair.
You
But I like
know,
to I like to get the victories where we should, and
I
then
agree.
steal the ones still and still steal them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. So, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, have you been watching this postseason so far?
I watched the Mets. I watched the end of the Mets Phillies one, and which was a wild ending.
Yeah.
I literally watched the last two innings, and I was like, "Well, this was exciting."
Yeah, very much so. I mean, between that and the Mets Brewers series and game one of the Yankees and the Royals, there's been some really, really good games. And it still makes me sad that the Cubs are not part of this equation, but it's also a humble reminder of how nerve-wracking the postseason is with the drama that it brings.
Oh my God, it's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I mean, remember 2016, I think I gained many gray hairs that month,
Uh, so
but it was worth it.
all right, so I'm gonna ask you, in your heart, like if somebody said, Alex, you pick who would be most excited to see in the World Series? Which two teams out of the teams that are still left? And then Alex, if you had to put money down, what two teams would do you think are going to be in the World Series? What are those matchups?
Ooh. So the teams I want to see in the World Series. This is going to get me in hot water, but I would love to see an all New York World Series. Mets Yankees.
Boo.
Wouldn't that be just so exciting?
We saw that before, and outside of New York, nobody cared.
Oh, I think people would care now. I think people would care now. In the social media age, I think people would absolutely, with the way the Mets are just playing, and you got Juan Soto and Aaron Judge on the other side, I think that'd be epic. That's what I want to see. Now, putting money, that's really tough. Right now, the Dodgers and the Padres are playing, and the
Yes.
Phillies just came back and won an epic game. That's a series that maybe it goes 5 games. I don't know. This Padres team has a lot going for it. And I could be very wrong, but I still kind of like their pennant chances. I also like Phillies too. They were on the brink of being in real big trouble and they rallied and they won. So those two teams are the ones I'm eyeing from the National League. From the American League, I right now I'm probably putting my money on New York. I like the Guardians a lot. I just if those two meet up in an ALCS, I just see the star power of the Yankees prevailing.
So if you ask me who I want to see uh the Guardians versus the Padres. That would be the World Series I want out of this. It would have been the Orioles, but
Flop.
they flopped. Um,
Flop.
but I as of now, the Guardians versus the Padres. But if you're asking me to put money, I'm gonna go Guardians Dodgers. No, Guardians Phillies. I think that's gonna be the matchup. Guardians
All right.
Phillies.
So hear me out on this. I know it's fun to root for the underdog, and you don't want to see the big bad Yankees or Dodgers win.
I think that's gonna be a. I mean, we know the Yankees are gonna beat up on the Royals, and I'm pretty sure the Guardians are gonna beat up on the Tigers. So I would be so comfortable to put money right now that the ALCS is going to be the Yankees and the Guardians. I think that's going to go full seven.
Fair enough.
I'm not taking anything away from the Yankees. I just think I think the Guardians have some sort of juju magic right now.
Yeah, I mean they look really good. The way they came out in game one after having that bye layover was pretty impressive. But what I'm gonna say here is I know we want to see the underdog, but from a Cubs fan perspective, if you see the Dodgers or the Yankees win the World Series and you saw like a Dodgers Yankees or a Yankees Mets or like a Dodgers Mets NLCS, I almost want to use that. Not that I have any power over it, but if I could, I would point that to the Cubs and say, don't give me this bull crap of being just good enough and hoping everything goes right. Here are teams that went all out to be great. And here's proof that it works. So you should do it too. Because I am tired of this just be good enough attitude. And it's not just about the dollars and cents being spent, because they did have one of the higher payrolls. But when you ask Jed Hoyer about having a star and going all out and doing this, you get answers. And last year, oh, look what the Diamondbacks did. Look what the Diamondbacks did. Oh, we got to get lucky. We got to have everyone playing 2 and above there. No, go all out and be a bully. Go all out and be a big market team.
I mean, look at the teams that are in the playoffs. Mets number one in payroll. Yankees number 2 in payroll. Phillies number 4 in payroll. Dodgers number 5 in payroll.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear Jed you know, oogle boogling the frickin' Diamondbacks anymore.
And the Padres are not, they're not chump change. They're
No, they're
spend
not.
they're like 175 million in their payroll. It's the wild ones. You look at Cleveland and uh and Detroit are like 100 million.
And Jed wants to be Cleveland. He hired Carter Hawkins from
Yeah.
Cleveland. Now, and the other thing too is when you look at the Padres, even if they're not spending as much as the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Phillies, you know what they
They-
did do? They went into camp and they decided, okay, let's trade for Dylan Cease. A few
Yep.
months later, oh, let's trade for Luis Arise
And they weren't afraid to make the trade for Juan Soto, and they made the big money signing of Manny Machado.
and Xander Bogarts.
Yeah, they 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 spent a lot of money.
Yeah. And then they traded away Juan Soto and then just pivoted.
Yeah, because they were broke. But like the Mets and the Yankees are both over $300 million payrolls.
And we're not necessarily asking for that, but we
No,
want
no,
to see them take a big swing, whether
yes,
it's a trade, whether it's a signing, whether it's taking a chance on something. And listen, you took a swing on a Michael Busch trade. That worked really well. You paid Cody Bellinger decent amount of money when you first signed him as a reclamation project. That worked out well. You had a great deal with Shota Imanaga. Great find. It's not that they're completely incapable of doing it. I just think that they keep working with parameters and are still limiting themselves from being great because I just don't. They want to win, but
is
they don't want to be great. They want to do it just so.
yeah, is okay. The Shota Imanaga turned out really good, but that was a safe money spend. You're like, okay, if that won't bite us in the ass if it doesn't work out.
Which
The
you
co-
do need to do those moves. That's fine.
yes, Cody Bellinger, the first contract, you're like, okay, we paid him, it was a good, it was like 15 million or whatever, 16 million for 1 year, 20 million, whatever it was. It was like, it wasn't chump change, but it's a 1 year deal. If it didn't work out on, that a healthy former MVP would come back and put up good numbers, you're like, okay, that won't kill us. Uh, the Michael Busch trade, if that doesn't work out, who cares? He's not making a lot of money, but you've got to finalize those ones when you have uh Shohei Otani, when like, all right, that was a little bit of a weird situation because we all knew he wanted to go to the Dodgers,
Right.
but you at least played that game really well. And but you've got to go after somebody big. You've got to pull off, like, even when they went and got the shortstop market, they got the last one. You know, uh, they when Juan Soto is a free agent, go get a Juan Soto. Like, match him up with those you know like nice size moves like the Shota Imanaga and Michael Busch. Put all those together. It takes different types of things. You've got to draft well and develop well and bring guys up to balance off paying guys a lot of money that are free agents. And then you've got to have those mid-tier signings. Like, you've got to make those all work. You can't, like, it's really hard to win a World Series and consistently compete when you don't spend money. It's really hard. And
Yeah.
really, it's been the Rays. That's like the one team that uh has been able to do that. Miami has jumped up here and there, but usually when they do, their payroll goes up and then they just have a fire sale. Pittsburgh and Oakland are never good. Um, Cincinnati's starting to be better, but they're never going to be great until they go and bolster I mean, they've got some good talent, but they've got to bolster it with some good free agents, and then their payroll is going to shoot up because they're over 100 million now. Um, Milwaukee, Milwaukee has been an anomaly. Their payroll is still fairly low,
They win
and
90, 95 games every single frickin' year.
yeah, but then they flop in the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
They need that big money free agent too, the one that's going to carry you.
Which, hey, they did get Christian Yelich way back, and that's worked out pretty well.
Um, the Cardinals, they spend money. Boston spends money.
Well, the
This,
Cardinals, I don't know. The Cardinals have been a little stingy lately, and I think their fans are kind of over it.
yeah, but they're also, I mean, they're right around the top 10 in payroll. It's not like they're bottom feeders. Uh,
No, but I think their investing has not been very wise over the past few years.
that I will agree with, but it's not like they're a low payroll franchise.
Well, no, they're not
Yeah.
the A's, they're not the
Uh,
Marlins, they're not the
but
Rays.
but yeah, so it's you've got to make some splashy moves, and I know that's Jed doesn't want to do that, but you know what? Like, risk it, go big, go home. If you sign a Juan Soto and it doesn't work out, nobody's going to be mad at you. Nobody's going to be like, what an idiot. Yeah, that guy is like one of the two best hitters in baseball. And if he flops when he comes there, you know, you're just like, what reason did I have to think that this would flop? It's uh, so you risk that. I know he doesn't like to do the long contracts, but risk it. The Manny Machado contract looked really awful when the Padres signed it, $300 million, blah. But you know what? As the lifetime of the contract goes on and baseball salary rises, you go, it's it, it's not that bad anymore.
Yeah, and look how clutch Manny Machado is.
Yeah. Um, so that's what I want to see is yeah, go after those mid tier ones. You need those because that's how you keep your payroll from being $300 million. But you're gonna have to move off of some of those picks to make some trades. But you're gonna have to go sign a big free agent with long term big money contract. You're just gonna have to.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how this offseason goes. It's gonna be interesting.
Um, I'm just waiting to see how low it's the White Sox payroll is going to be like a limbo. How low can they go?
How low can you go? How
I'm
low
gonna
can
all
you
right.
go?
So on paper right now, their payroll for 2025 is $65.6 million, which makes them the 22nd or 21st highest payroll. Um, will by the time the season starts, will they be above or will they be below $50 million in the payroll when the season starts?
Sounds like about the mark.
Um, I mean, it's going to be lower than that because uh, Moncada is going to be gone. That's 25 million.
Right.
Oof, that drops you right down to 40. But I guess they're going to have some arbitration, and they'll probably have to
Right.
get some guys. But yeah, I think they're going to be under 50.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Um, they're probably trying to think of ways that they can, and they're going to lose Garrett Crochet, and he would have got a big money in arbitration. Um, they're going to try to trade Luis, and they're going to look at can they get rid of Andrew Benintendi?
No.
There's no way, but they're going to look into it because that's $17 million that they can not pay somebody else.
Trade him for David Eckstein.
Uh, it's funny. You know who's going to be on their payroll next year? John Brebbia.
Oh boy.
Uh, God. Um, but the White Sox.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know who's off the payroll though next year? Lurie Garcia.
Forgot about him.
Oh, Lurie Garcia.
The guy that won them one playoff game in the Rick Hahn rebuild era.
Uh, oh, Lurie Garcia. That dude has made a lot of money in baseball.
Just Robin blind.
I mean, the White Sox gave him that 3 year, $16.5 million contract.
They stinge out on so many players and yet gave the money to that guy.
Lurie Garcia has made over $25 million in his career.
That's insane.
And all but 200,000 of it came from the White Sox.
All but 200,000.
The
Ah.
200, the sorry, 203,497 that came from the Rangers.
Oh, you gotta be more precise,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, 25,287,162 came from the White Sox.
Yeah,
But you know what? Why Lurie Garcia is the poor man's David Eckstein.
that's true.
Uh, that's that's funny. That's probably true. He was like, who is the closest guy we got to David Eckstein? Lurie Garcia. Give him a 3 year deal.
Pay him my money.
Oh God, Lurie Garcia. Uh, um, Blackhawks. Um, I've not been impressed by their preseason.
Outside of the last game they played in Milwaukee, no, it's been quite ugly. They
And
haven't scored. They've given up goals in chunks.
I realized that uh, you know, it's preseason, it doesn't matter, but after what we saw the last several seasons, it's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking great in the preseason. Obviously, it's over now, but hopefully, hopefully they find some chemistry with some of the new guys they brought in and some of the young guys they're trying to develop, and things look better as we go. But no, I mean, I agree. Seeing what we've seen through most of the preseason, you're like, this just looks like what we've seen for a number of years. Hopefully, it doesn't mean much in the long run. But like you said, it's a little disconcerting. They need to score more. They can't. It's like when they give up a goal, like the floodgates just open. It's like, oh, it's like 1-0 Hawks. All of a sudden, this at the end of the second period, you're down 6-1.
Yeah, but I believe the preseason is finished at this point.
Yes, it is. So
Uh,
we kick off our season Tuesday night.
yes, and I don't. Did you get your antenna ready?
I got the ears and the foil.
I literally bought an antenna because I um I have YouTube TV and they don't get the new network. So I was like, how else am I going to watch this? So I bought an antenna and I got those local channels now.
Well, luckily, the opening night game is on ESPN. So it's a nationally televised game.
Okay. Against the Utah Hockey
The
Club.
Utah Hockey Club.
But this stupid new channel, this is an embarrassment of a rollout. Can I just say that? This new station?
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to get it. And if you're the Blackhawks, like you're trying to get young hockey fans, right?
Of course.
Okay. So young hockey fans, they they are either cut the cord or they've gone to a internet based cable like YouTube TV. And you can't get this new network either streaming or on YouTube TV. And also the biggest uh, cable provider um, in Chicago, Comcast, does not carry it either. So you're telling young people who have never watched like antenna TV. Like, have you ever watched antenna TV?
As a little kid at my grandparents' house, and my parents' front room TV has an antenna. I think they still do in their front room. They uh, they can watch the Blackhawks on that one, but
Yeah. So you're asking young people who likely have never seen an antenna before to hook up an antenna to their television to get a signal. Like that is so wild in 2024.
mhm.
Like, I mean, I don't have like the rabbit ears or anything like that, but I have like a new digital antenna, but I had to plug in. I have an 86-inch high def TV, and I had to plug in an antenna to be able to watch the Blackhawks and the Bulls. The one good
Yeah.
thing I will say though is now I get Sven Gulli.
Oh yeah, you got Rich Coe's Saturday nights. All right.
Yeah. So, and my wife's like, she's like, we have like every streaming channel there is on this big high def TV, and you're watching antenna television and watching Sanford and Son. And I was like, it's like sometimes that's just how it goes. But it's just embarrassing. Um, but it is what it is. I'm hoping
Hopefully
that
they get it figured out.
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. Um,
You see
but we,
Bedard get into that fight towards the end of the game?
I did. Good for him.
Yeah, he trying to defend himself a bit. And then as soon as Bedard gets into that scrum, like the swarm of bees, all the other Blackhawks come over to protect their king. Bzzz. Just swarm of bees. But
Um,
that was a fun game at least. Then, boy, the Blackhawks fans really filled up Milwaukee.
but do we know the final roster yet here? Because I've seen names that have been um sent down, like Colton Dock got sent to Rockford, Cole Gutman got sent to Rockford, Frank Nazar got sent to Rockford, um, Landon Slaggert got sent to Rockford, Kevin Korchinski and Drew Comesso got sent to
Yeah, I was
Rockford.
gonna say Korchinski going to Rockford is notable.
Um, so like, who made the roster?
I think Connor Bedard did.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
Um, Tyler Bertuzzi, Ryan Donato, Nick Foligno. Um,
I would hope our captain made the team.
that would be hilarious. That would be such a Blackhawk things if he didn't. Like, oh, we just didn't make it. We had to cut him.
Sorry.
Uh, Nolan Allen made the cut though.
He signed Patrick Maroon and Alec Martinez. They made it right.
I believe so. Um,
So who's going to be the backup goaltender?
I don't know.
Is it going to be Arvid Soderblom? Is it going to be Comesso? Because the guy you signed from the
Comesso,
Jets is hurt.
well, Comesso got sent down to Rockford.
He did. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So is it going to be Arvid Soderblom
I guess.
until I keep forgetting the guy they signed from the Jets. Whenever he's healthy again, he'll be the next guy, but I assume Peter Mrazek's going to get the majority in between the pipes to start the season.
I guess. Um,
What's Nikolai Habibulin up to these days?
yeah. So it is. I'm looking at a site that says it is Peter Mrazek and Arvid Soderblom. This is their predictions. So the top top line: Bertuzzi, Bedard, Tavo.
Yep.
Uh, uh, Hall, Karashev, Mikheyev, Foligno, Dickinson, Anderson, Smith, Donato, Maroon, and defensive pairings: Alex Martinez, Seth Jones, TJ Brody, Alex Vlasic, Isaac Phillips, and Connor Murphy.
All right. Yeah, I still think that defense is still probably not going to be that great.
No, it is not going to be good at all. It's going to be good when the young guys finally get, up to speed. But for the time being, these are just grizzled old vets. And then they have the healthy scratches as Lucas Reichel, Athanasiou, and Nolan Allen.
All right. We'll see.
That's the prediction. We'll see. You got a couple more days here.
Putting Athanasiou in the doghouse.
Start him right off.
Bark, bark, bark. It's an actual doghouse. Get in there.
And
if I remember correctly, they start their first like 5 games on the road.
I believe they do. I believe they do. Let me double check here. Calendar. 1, 2, 3, 4. First 4.
Okay, 4. All right. Well, still, that's
Utah, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, and then home against San Jose.
well. Hopefully, you can at least split or get points in at least 2 of those.
I mean,
Edmonton's going to be tough.
Edmonton's going to be tough.
Calgary's going to be tough.
Yeah. But you just do what you got to do.
Yep.
Let's see. The only other thing I had to talk about was I'm sure you saw Zach Levine's comments that he sounds very professional, and he says he's welcome to accepting any role with the Bulls.
Up that trade value, buddy.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully he means it, and because if he comes in here and accepts whatever the Bulls want him to be, and if this becomes a real team, maybe they can actually make the playoffs instead of I'm not talking about like the playoffs. I'm talking about, that the last seed or two.
I mean, okay, the East sucks, but that defense is going to be terrible.
Oh, yeah, but if they can just put up a lot of points, that's what matters is points. Getting up lots of points. I mean, because they start their season in a couple weeks, right? Towards Halloween.
Yeah, that'll be starting up fairly soon.
Yeah, I'm looking here against the Pelicans. Pelicans, Bucks, and Thunder. First 3 games. Yeah, so we'll see what we have. I have no idea what this team is going to look like. It's going to be real interesting. I will say that much.
I barely care about this season. It sucks.
Yeah, we'll see. You won't be able to watch them if you don't have your antenna.
Yeah. Maybe they will at least be kind of scrappy and fun to watch, but I don't know.
We shall see.
Josh Giddey was secretly had an injury and yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I said my piece.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That would grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down